like, do you remember a band that like Joe Belinsky talked about um called Dr. Dog?
Yeah, I remember him talking about it, but I haven't checked him out.
Dude, they released an album this year in 2016 that was like indie folk, I guess would be the best way I could describe it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Vinyl
Vinyl
Stallions!
Stallions!
And we're going back, way back on the warning track. It's at the wall. It's gone. Rajay Davis drilling an eighth inning home run to tie the World Series. And then the rain comes and the Tribe lose. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2016 in Cleveland, Ohio.
Here comes the rain, and I say it wasn't all right. Do 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 do.
Hey, Brian Shaw, do 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 do. Too soon, even though it was now what 6 years ago. We're in the year 2022, and you heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. We are referencing the year 2016, which we had a request to do our top 10 albums from. Club, who did we get that request from?
None other than my sister, Sarah.
Let's go. Shout out to Sarah, a fellow
Yeah,
Stampede listener.
and so not to digress, but obviously losing that World Series in 2016 was devastating. But I almost feel like the year after hurt even more because we were stacked that year.
And not even just
Anyways,
stacked. No, not even just stacked. We were up 2 games to 0 against the fucking Yankees. Then I remember Aaron Judge making that catch against the wall in the third game, and that just changing everything. That Bar Louie just fifth game going, what the fuck just happened? But we're not here for that. We're here for
yeah,
the incredible music that came out during this year. And again, if you've listened to before, we've done a lot of album or top tens, and the top tens have mostly been in the 90s. I don't think we've done any other ones besides in the
yeah, we did
90s.
94, 95, 96. And if you watched the 96 episode, you would have heard it then. But the reason why we picked 2016 is our Cleveland Guardians were in the middle of the playoffs and we wanted to channel some good energy. So we picked the year that they went to the World Series last, or at least that was my sister Sarah's reasoning for it.
Well, nonetheless, we find ourselves in 2016 diving in through all of the albums, and holy smokes, were there a lot of good ones. I had a list of probably 16 of them, had to narrow it down to 10. You're going to hear my honorable mentions that just missed the cut. But, Cup, are you ready to dive in? And here's what I have to say before we dive in. We've been pretty matched up in the 90s with kind of our, I don't know, like there's been a lot of matchups that we've had on both of our lists. And for the reviewers out there or the listeners, I have no idea what Klep has. He has no idea what I have. We never talked before these, but I have a feeling we're going to have some pretty different lists today.
I would concur. I would concur.
Well, let's
It's all going to
concur.
be good music, though.
Yeah, no, this shit powered me through the end of my college years. So let's start out. I'm going to kick it off with gentleman who we don't talk about too much, not even just on the show, but in general, club and the music that we have to dive into. Sitting at
Okay.
number 10 for the year 2016 is Black Star by David Bowie.
Ooh,
And this is
okay.
David Bowie's 26th and final studio album released on January 8th of 2016. And this album is much more experimental than I don't know, his album before that, which was released in 2013 called The Next Day. He was joined with a huge cast and an ensemble. And wow, I'm just looking at some of here. Me and Club were talking about LCD sound system before we started recording, and James Murphy contributed to percussion on this. And you all can go look up who else was on it, but it was, Bowie's parting gift. He actually died 2 days after this was put out.
Wow.
And Yes, like it was unknown to the public that Bowie had liver cancer. But yeah, 2 days after, and this album was actually released on his 69th birthday as well. So it was a whole package, but went on to be critically acclaimed. It was David Bowie's only album to top the US Billboard 200. It won at the 59th Grammys, Best Alternative Album, Best Engineered Album, Best Recording Package, Best Recording Package, and the title track winning Best Rock Performance and Best Rock Song. So this thing, I haven't dove too deep into David Bowie, which is probably why we haven't spoke about him that much. But this album, everywhere I looked in 2016, it said this album was incredible. And I'm like, what, David Bowie 2016? No way this can be just like as much hype as people are saying. But it was, and highly recommend listening to that.
Yeah, Bowie's just a guy I haven't really done too deep of a dive into. I know all of his hits, and honestly, I know probably more hits than the average person, but I've never, done like a full plunge into Bowie because he's got a pretty big discography. But yeah, I mean, he's pretty good. Hard to argue with that choice.
You can't go wrong with a little Bowie. So yep, sending that number 10 for Spruce.
All right. So for my number 10, I'm gonna go in a completely different direction. Briefly talked about this band before we started recording the episode, but I'm going with the album Abandoned Mansion by Dr. Dog. And this was my first time ever listening to a Dr. Dog album. So I don't know if all of their albums sound like this or if this was like a sort of unique sound to this album, but it was almost like a bluesy or folky, like psychedelic rock. It was very different, very good though. And I was reading about this album, and I guess there was not a lot of media leading up to it. They just randomly put it on Bandcamp one day, and then after a little bit of time, then they put it everywhere. But they just like blitzkrieg, just boop, full album, Bandcamp. We're not gonna like tell everyone about it. We're just gonna see who notices. And it was like a fully professionally recorded and mixed, like it not self recorded or produced at all, but they still just chose to put it on Bandcamp randomly for whatever reason. But yeah, recorded at Mount Slippery Studio in Clifton Heights, Pennsylvania. A little over 40 minutes. Abandoned Mansion by Dr. Dog.
Hell yeah. I have to absolutely check out Dr. Dog because I remember, Joe Blinsky talking about him.
And that is why I chose to give it a listen, because truthfully, when I started this process, I did not have enough albums to make a list of 10, because most of what I listen to tends to be before the year 2010. So I was like, all right, I'm going to really just dive into this year. And I saw Dr. Dog released an album this year, and I was like, Joe said they're a really good band. I'm going to check them out. And I was highly impressed.
Very nice, very nice. Well, continuing at number 9 for myself is Awaken My Love, Childish Gambino, aka Donald Glover. For those who don't know that, and if you don't know that, then wake up, because this man and this album is incredible. So it's the third studio album by Donald Glover. It's a fusion of like psychedelic soul, funk, and R&B, and then funk, and then more funk and more funk. Like this shit is nasty, and it has 3 singles: Me and Your Mama, at least what I think is most popular one, Redbone, and then Terrified. And it got a bunch of Grammy nominations, didn't win, but this album, at least cover, is very iconic. Klep, go Google it right now. It's wild. Awaken My Love with an exclamation point at the end. And I don't know, Child is just such a unique artist. The way he's like Donald
Oh
Glover's able
wow,
to
that is
flow.
different.
Yeah, it's very different. And then like he was on hiatus from social media as well, and then he like announced this. So it was a big surprise. It was towards the end of 2016 in December, and I don't know. I mean, this album just flashes me back to this year, and like Redbone just sends me to a different universe. So that is sitting at number 9 for you, boy.
Right on. Once again, I'm gonna go a completely different direction. You went modern, I'm about to go old. So sitting at number 9, I have the album Keep Me Singing by Van Morrison. And so this album, little under an hour. This is his 36th studio album. The man is an album machine. And by the way, he's released like 6 or 7 albums since this one. Unreal. The man's in his 70s and he's just pumping them out and they're still good. So yeah, this was very different than any Van album I had ever heard. It was very, I guess, chill, mellow would be the best way to describe it. Like something you would love to hear on just like a gloomy day where it's raining and you're just looking out the windowsill and just like appreciating the beauty of the rain falling on a spring morning. It's like that type of vibe. Nice blend of instruments. I mean, you still got all the horns, all the piano, like you would with any Van album. And I mean, it's just there's no real holes you can poke at it. It's just a solid all around album. It doesn't have like any songs that are going to tear your face off or anything like that, but it's just a nice, enjoyable listen.
Van.
Yep. So there we go. Number 9, Keep Me Singing, Van Morrison.
That man's a fucking animal when it comes to making music.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's got a new one. I think it's either February or March of 2023. Double discer. Like the man doesn't quit.
Well, I'm going to continue going in an opposite direction. Sitting at number 8 is one of the most powerful artists of the 21st century, Beyonce, Lemonade.
Okay.
And this album, I mean, these songs, again, I was in college, like going out, and I would just constantly hear Formation, or I would hear Freedom as well, featuring Kendrick Lamar. Sorry, Hold Up is another great one off this album. But yeah, man, this is the 6th studio album by Beyonce. It's like reggae, blues, with like soul, hip hop, funk. Like it literally kind of covers everything, and features a handful of people like James Blake, Kendrick, as I said, The Weeknd, Jack White is on this. Hell, in 2020 the album was placed number 32 on Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all fucking time, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, with like current artists and like it's like stuff that just is very radio heavy, you only really get to hear one song, and like 1 or 2 songs. But like when you, again, I say this, I think every single episode we've ever had in our life, listen to an album, and songs, how they're supposed to be listened to in an order, it's like transcending and is an unreal experience. So I did that, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. It was whenever I was in Philly, and listened to Lemonade walking around Philly, and I was blasted.
All right. So I'm gonna go in a completely different direction. So you got Beyonce, like very poppy. So coming in at number 8 for me, I have an album called The Astonishing by Dream Theater. This album, I believe, is their longest album. It's over 2 hours. It's 130 minutes on vinyl, quadruple discer.
Damn.
But yeah, it's an absolutely crazy album. I believe 32 songs. Let me get the fact check up in here. But yeah, this is their 3rd album with Mike Mangini on drums. Yep, 32 songs confirmed, or 34 songs. But yeah, so this album is like very just, I don't know, Dream Theater put so much time and effort into this. Like there is a full choir, there is a full orchestra, and they use it in like almost every song. And I guess John Petrucci, who is the lead guitarist of Dream Theater, but also the producer on all of their albums, he said that they used the scores for Game of Thrones and Star Wars as like sort of inspiration for this album, and just like, you know, gave it a progressive metal sound. But yeah, it just like kind of tells this dystopian story, and it's pretty cool. This could like definitely be used as a movie soundtrack, because honestly not too many of the songs have words. Plenty of them do, but plenty of them don't. Yeah, there's really, I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe this album. It's one you just kind of got to listen to really know, but you also kind of have to be into that genre, because 130 minutes, like, you're in if you're listening to it.
Nice.
So yeah, number 8, The Astonishing Dream Theater.
All right, number 7 for your boy is How to Be a Human Being by Glass Animals.
All right.
And so I saw Glass Animals so they released their debut studio album, which was called Zaba. And they aggressively toured with over 140 concerts in Europe, Australia, US, and Mexico, and in 2015. And one of those was at Bonnaroo, which I actually was able to see them like front row on like Thursday night. It was a crazy experience. Never even like heard of them before. And then, so in 2016, the year after, I was very much aware of them. And this album came out, and it's an interesting way they put it together. So the band wrote 11 songs based on 11 different characters, many of which were inspired by people they met and stories they were told during their travels while promoting their debut album. And if you look at the cover, each character is portrayed on the album cover, and some appear in the music videos for their respective songs. And so, yeah, again, the album cover has those 11 people. And I mean, I don't know if you guys know Glass Animals, those listeners, but like it is a very unique, and it's live music, like very synth driven, but they have the bass, guitar, everything going on when you see them live. The energy was unbelievable. For reference, I saw them again last year at this venue called Nautica, which is right down by the Cuyahoga River here in Cleveland, Ohio. And whole big barges will pass by when you hear and then they'll just honk their horns and when you're at shows. So it's fucking crazy. But yeah, life itself, youth. I mean, I'm just kind of like going down this list. Like, is season 2, episode 3, The Other Side of Paradise, Take a Slice, Popular Street. Like, this album is so freaking good, and definitely my favorite of them. So
The Other Side of Paradise, that's definitely a song that you've showed me, and I now recognize whenever it comes on.
Dude, it's crazy. It's just like, oh, dun, dun, dun,
Yep.
oh. So yeah, that's it in number 7.
Right on. Dude, the trend continues. So at number 7, I once again go to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, and we got Hardwired to Self-Destruct by Metallica. Another example of a band that just, no matter how old they get, like the quality of their albums has really not dropped off at. Like, you can throw this album and stack it up against any of their like 90s albums and it's just as good. 77 minutes, double discer. Every song's like 6-7 minutes. It's just solid. And yeah, I don't know if there's like one complaint I might make. It's that I didn't have it higher on the list. It's such a good album.
Very nice.
But yeah, I mean, that's what we got. Hardwired to Self-Destruct, Metallica. It is actually their 10th album. And it was the first one in a while that they had self-produced.
Interesting.
But,
very nice.
Yep. So there we go. Hardwired to Self-Destruct, Metallica coming in at number 7 for your boy Club.
All right, and number 6 for Spruce is one I think I will find on your list, Klep. Santana 4 by Santana.
Right on.
And this is the 24th studio album by Santana, released in April of 2016. A very unique album, though, as it reunited most of the surviving members from the early 1970s lineup of the band, and was the first time that the quintet had recorded together since 1971 Santana 3. And I mean, this freaking thing has just ripper after ripper. I mean, the first track, Yambu, wild. And then Fillmore East, I remember just getting destroyed by.
Oh, Fillmore East is an all-timer.
All Aboard. Yeah, no, this album was great. It's very, very, like I said, unique, getting all the members. I mean, I didn't believe it came out in 2016 because I'm like, okay, I know early 70s Santana 3 came out. Like, why would there not be a Santana 4? Well, it's because they didn't have the members. And then once they recruited them all back, like, pick up right where you left off is how Carlos put it.
You know what's interesting too is there was no Santana 2. They had the self-titled in 1969, and then the second album was Abraxas, not Santana 2.
And Santana 3 just comes in and just gives you that jungle strut.
Oh yeah. I mean, me personally, 3 is my favorite album.
Yep. I think we can find some consensus there, but Santana 4 sitting at number 6.
All right. So coming in at number 6 for me, we're getting a little more mainstream, if you will. And I have the album Revolution Radio by Green Day. And so this album came at an interesting time for Green Day. So if we go back to the 2000s, I mean, they were already a very popular band, but they released American Idiot in, I want to say, 2004. Massively popular, just all over the radio, so many songs. They followed up with 21st Century Breakdown. Not quite as popular as American Idiot, but I mean, in my opinion, it's a better album. Not many people will agree with me, but I'll fight to the death on that battle. I digress. That album is still very successful commercially. And then they released 3 albums in a row, Uno, Dos, Tres. And those commercially flopped. Whether you like them or not, the public in general did not. So after that, they released this album, Revolution Radio. And so the stakes are very high because for Green Day at this junction in their career, this is where it's like, all right, they're old now and they're no longer making good music. Or Uno, Dos, Tres was just a swing and a miss, and the boys are back. And that's exactly what happened. The boys are back. Revolution Radio is such a good album, such a worthy addition to Green Day's catalog. There are 2 songs in particular that I would argue are maybe in my top 10 Green Day songs. I don't want to necessarily say that that's for sure because I mean Green Day has so many good songs. But Bang Bang and Still Breathing, I believe both of those are singles. Yep, sure are. Um, yeah, both of those songs are just amazing. There is not a bad song on the album though, and it is like just about everything you would expect from a Green Day album. Like, could not recommend it enough. If you sort of checked out after Uno Dos Tres, go listen to this album. It will give you faith in the boys.
Hell yeah. All right.
Yes, Green Day, I am open if you want to hire me as your PR.
Open for anything, Billy. All right. So coming in at number 5 for Spruce is another name that we have not talked about a lot in general, Klep, who plays sick, nasty bass lines. I'm pretty sure well, I know for a fact he does. I don't know if it's on every single one of these tracks, but he's the artist laying it down. Is The Divine Feminine by Mac Miller.
Okay.
And Mac is obviously a rapper, but like his backing tracks, and honestly, a lot of rap backing tracks are fantastic and incredible. We were just shouting out Shaw Calhoun, a previous guest too. I came across one of his songs today, and it was just incredible. And some of these backing tracks. So this is Mac Miller's 4th studio album. Features like Kendrick Lamar, the Sanderson Paak, Ty Dolla $ign, Ariana Grande. Dang is an incredible song off of this. I'm trying to think. My Favorite Part is another great one. Cinderella. Yeah, there's that, like, and they're all just thumping basses. Like, I really can't get out of my head when I start hearing these. But yeah, so many of these songs, again, just drilling me in college, and will still drill me now. Rest in peace, Mac Miller. But Klep, we got to take a dive into young Mac.
Yeah. Truthfully, just an artist I just don't know much about. Like, I can't say that I like really like him or don't like him, because I don't know if I really know much of his music at all.
I mean, I
But
just
I will
considered.
take your word
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah,
And I will
no,
definitely take a dive.
yeah. We'll definitely take a dive because there's honestly more I need to explore with Mac Miller as well. But all in due time. That's at number 5.
Right on. So now here's where things get a little bit tough. But for me, coming in at number 5 is an artist that I have sort of started to really get into recently. And I am just going to pull up the full name of the album because there are so many fucking words in this album name that I don't want to mess it up. So, the name of the album is I Like It When You Sleep, for You Are So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It, by the 1975. So this is the 1975 second studio album. In my opinion, it is their best album. Double Discer. I've listened to this band's full discography, so I would definitely say this is their best work. There are just so many good songs on this. The bass lines in this album are just so funky. But yeah, songs Love Me, She's American, Somebody Else, This Must Be My Dream, like Paris, Nana, like there's just so many good songs on this. This style of music was definitely and still is popular now, but this style of music is very popular in 2016. So there's definitely a lot of competition for the 1975 when what's going on your screen, Spruce? I think I know what's coming next for you. There's definitely a lot of competition for the 1975 when they put out this album because there's so many bands in this genre releasing music at this time. And I don't know, this one I think was the best from that genre at that time. So coming in at number 5 for your boy Klep, one more time, it is I Like It When You Sleep, for You Are So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It, 1975. Over to Spruce for number 4. Let's not waste any time.
Dark necessities are part of my design. The Getaway by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And if this is your first time listening, if you are actually still listening to this far into it, I give props to you. And you see me with my shirt off because I am performing as the boys do. Props off. Red Hot Chili Peppers coming in at number 4, The Getaway, the 11th studio album of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was produced by Danger Mouse, who replaced Rick Rubin after 25 years and 6 albums as the band's producer. The final album was guitarist Josh Klinghoffer, and it made its debut at number 1 in 10 different countries. I mean, Dark Necessities, Go Robot, Goodbye Angels. I mean, people are so weird sometimes, diving so deep into just the aura of Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they're like, "Oh my god, Josh Klinghoffer, this can't be one of the best albums," or something like that. And I'm like, shut the fuck up. This album is incredible and still shines with Red Hot Chili Peppers, and honestly is like incredible. Like it really, really is. Features so many horns as well, and a lot of just deep tracks. I named like the like popular ones, but I mean, Detroit is another great one, which we thought we were maybe gonna get, but they didn't do it.
Yeah.
the Longest Wave, We Turn Red. Yeah, I don't know. This album's great. Red Hot Chili Peppers, back to you, Klep.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, this was mine at number 4 as well.
Hey!
we'll just keep talking about this. And so this has never came up in any of our other Chili Peppers episodes, but I am just curious, between I'm With You and The Getaway, which is your favorite of the 2 Josh albums? Because for me, it's this one, honestly.
Yeah, so I mean, I honestly think it is this one. I honestly didn't know much of I'm With You until you added some of them to the shuffle.
It has I'm With You is an amazing album too.
Did I know
what you were saying is spot on. Like, a lot of Red Hot Chili Peppers fans shit on these 2 albums because they don't have Frusciante, and it's fair. Like, there is an element that is missing with him not there, but it's like some of their best songs are on these 2 albums.
Yeah, no, they really are. They just drill. Like, Go Robot is such a fun song. I remember someone, one of my dad's friends just being like, "You guys should cover this song. I think you could pull it off." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, just Go Robotness and yeah, it's great. I'm glad we found some consensus in our list, sitting at number 4 with The Getaway.
Yeah, that's interesting. Up to this point, there had been no overlap with our lists, which is definitely different than the 3 90s ones that we've done. So, yep.
We enter the top 3.
Here we go. Now here's where things get very interesting. I know one of mine I would be surprised if you had on there, and
so sitting
one
at
of
number
mine
3,
I'm pretty sure you do have.
Sitting at number 3 for Spruce is Coloring Book by Chance the Rapper.
Okay.
And holy fucking smokes about this album. Like, this is the album right here. Yeah, I honestly almost put this first, which just should tell you about what these next 2 albums will mean to me. But you know, Chance has such a unique voice, such a unique way of portraying, and like in the early 2010s, like he was just getting this start. He had his like I forget his first album's name, but he he put out 2 other mixtapes before this, and but this is the one. This is the one that has just like all of the hits that I constantly listen to over and over again. Going Down, All We Got, No Problem, Blessings, Same Drugs, Angels, Juke Jam, All Night, And then the Blessings, the second one that they have at the end that features a lot of different people like Ty Dolla $ign, Anderson .Paak. Like this album is such a collaborative experience that I don't even know. It's like hip hop fusion with gospel, with just unbelievably just flowing raps and cheesy just things, and then parties with no problems and all we got. I don't know. I could go on about this album. This is just an unbelievable like collection of songs altogether.
I have a question that perhaps you know the answer to. What makes it technically a mixtape?
That's a well, so I'm clicking right here. Is a compilation of music typically from multiple sources recorded onto a medium.
Okay.
I don't know. I just clicked on mixtape.
Yeah, no, because I'm always curious when like it's usually typically in rap or hip hop, but like an artist's album will be considered like a mixtape. I'm like, well, why is it a mixtape versus like a regular album? Because I'm like seeing the features on here, like Justin Bieber, Lil Wayne, 2 Chainz, Kanye West. Like when I think of mixtape, I think of like something like a kid made in their basement that's like passing out on the street, which is obviously not this. If it has like, you know, Justin Bieber and
I think it's just kind of how you portray it. I don't know. There's certain words that are just kind of a little bit interchangeable. Like, I don't know, like reading here, it just says the line between a released bill as a mixtape and one referred to as a studio album or extended play has become increasingly blurred.
Okay.
So I think it's just like, I don't know how you want to portray yourself, whether you could be a singer-songwriter or you could be an artist. It's still kind of the same shit.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But yep, that is number 3.
All right. So coming in at number 3 for me, which I have a feeling will be one of your next 2, is The Life of Pablo, Kanye West. Some will say this is Kanye's best album. It's up there for me. I would not say it's his best, but it is a wonderful piece of art. So many good songs on this album. Yeah, I mean, this is sort of like Kanye's sound really like sort of takes a turn after the 808s and Heartbreak album. I feel like this is sort of the pinnacle of that sound. After this album, he kind of stays with it, but it's just not as good. Honestly, Donda, the album that came out last year in 2021, does a very good job of coming close to Pablo. Like, it is a really good album. But yeah, I mean, Pablo, I mean, it's very similar to Dark Twisted Fantasy. I'd flip a coin between those two as to which I like more, but I think I'd give the edge to Pablo. And yeah, Donda's like right there behind it. But those 3 albums, like, all kind of have the same sound, and I would throw the album that he did with Jay-Z in there too, but it's also a little different because it has a lot of Jay-Z's twist on it. But yeah, just an incredible album, a classic just from the 2010s as a decade, like just one of the defining albums of that decade of this genre. Not much more to say about it. Like, everyone knows it. Everyone has heard a lot of the songs on the radio. Kanye West, Life of Pablo, number 3.
Produced or co-produced as well by Rick Rubin.
Damn, Slick Rick.
Slick Rick indeed. All right, so sitting at number 2 for Spruce is going to be an album that may surprise some people. It is Untitled, Unmastered by Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, it did not surprise me.
It probably shouldn't, because I talk about this album so much. So this is the unreleased, a collection of the unreleased demos that originated during the recording of Lamar's album To Pimp a Butterfly from 2015. In a sense, these were the ones that didn't make the cut for To Pimp a Butterfly.
Come in, girl.
How? I don't know. but I listen to Tim and Pimp a Butterfly and I understand every time I go back. But this album, so I remember when this came out. It was spring break. It was spring break, and I was in my garage with some people doing some things that involved, take that as you want, and I just remember getting destroyed. So there are titled track, or I think it's just called like Untitled 1, Untitled 2, Untitled 3, all the way down to Untitled 8. Untitled 2 is wild. It kind of goes through like all different like races not all different races, but he just goes through like, what did the white man say? What did the Indian say? And he just keeps going back and forth. It's like very, very cheesy. And then Untitled 3 goes right into levitate, levitate, levitate. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna go through all of this. And then number 7, levitate, comes back. Untitled 8, Blue Faces. Like, I still listen to these things constantly on repeat. It is unbelievable that, again, they didn't make it, but it makes sense, and I'm just glad at least we got to hear it. One of my favorite Kendrick albums altogether. Definitely top 3 Kendrick albums for me. But Untitled and Unmastered, Kendrick Lamar coming in at number 2.
Right on. So yeah, coming in at number 2 for me is just an album by one of my favorite bands, Fish, Big Boat. Yeah, this album is crazy. 66 minutes, double discer. They definitely took some chances with this album, and to me it paid off. Like some of like their live staples are just on this album, like No Men and No Man's Land. That is like, since they released this album, that is one of their most played songs live. Blaze On is another one, just like played live very frequently by this band, who is obviously known for their live music. But yeah, the very different. The song Home, if there's one song I could tell you to go listen to off this album, it would be Home. The last song on the album, Petrichor, is over 13 minutes. Like, it's just a crazy album. It's one of the stronger ones in Fish's catalog, in my opinion. Like, this was 2016. Their first album came out in 1989. Most of their best albums came out in the 90s, I would say. But once you turn the page to the 2000s, so from like 2000 on, this has got to be like one of their best 3 albums that they've put out. Yeah, just amazing album. If you're into jam bands, listen to it. Big Boat by Fish, number 2.
Fish, fish, pasta, pasta, fish, fish, pasta, pasta. You know what that's from?
I do not.
That's what the common folk chant when Bruce Wayne is climbing up the mountain, or not the mountain, like that hole in The Dark Knight Rises.
Huh. So Batman is a movie I've actually seen.
And they go do it without the rope, and they're not actually chanting that, but it kind of sounds like they're going fish, fish, pasta, pasta, fish, fish, pasta, pasta.
All right.
Sheesh.
The
all
time
right.
has come.
The grand finale of us all. Sitting at number 1 for Spruce is The Life of Pablo by Kanye. We've already touched on before with Klep, but I mean, this is definitely a top 3 Kanye album for me. Literally, I keep saying got me through college, but like this, I will never forget when Fade came out. Klep, you were actually at my house. It was when we had an old band that called Dingo Back, and we performed in my backyard It was at my backyard show, and Fade came out that Friday, and it was on that Saturday. And I remember just bumping Fade after that show and just being out of my mind. Like, what is this bass? Excuse me. But I mean, like this album, straight from the start, Ultralight Beam features a little bit of chants, features a whole choir. To Father Stretch My Hands Part 1 and gets a little vulgar. Straight to Part 2, Panda Panda Panda. I mean, you go into Famous where he's just calling out D Swift's, calling out everyone. Like, that shit's nuts. And then it goes, into a handful of great songs. Right to Waves at number 10.
Mm-hmm.
No More Parties in LA.
That's a good one.
Yeah, No More Parties in LA is one that smacks. But that Fade, I mean, highlights, Freestyle 4, like, I don't know. I just think this album, I mean, like half of it is just like songs I could just put on repeat. So it's just an incredible collection. Again, I vividly remember this tour, and then when he canceled it, we had a old interview with Lily Richards, who said she was at that show when Kanye walked off the stage when Kim Kardashian like got like jumped.
Yeah,
or
she was
something.
robbed or something.
Yeah, she was
In
robbed.
France, I don't know.
No, there's a couple experiences, or I think Connor Emser mentioned another one during that as well. But yeah, what a crazy album. Great collection. Sits at number 1, 2016.
Right on. Mine is also one that you've already selected on your list, Spruce, and that is
Yamba.
Yep, Santana 4 by
Yamba.
Santana.
Yamba.
Yeah, I mean, this album is just crazy. Like, I am just always amazed at, again, artists who age like with their body but not their musical ability. And this is seriously one of Santana's best albums. I think it's no surprise that it just happens to be one where they got, most of the surviving members from that early 70s lineup that put out so much good music. Yeah, I mean, yeah, if there we talked about it a little bit earlier, it's the longest song on the album, but if there's one from this one that you could just go back and listen to, it's Fillmore East for sure. Love Makes the World Go Round is really good. Choo Choo, Blues Magic, that's another one. Yeah, Blues Magic, that's one, like, yeah, just listen to no matter what. Come As You Are, Forgiveness, both of those two are very strong. You and I, it's a double discer. Like, I don't know. It's just mind blowing to me at like how good of an album this is. And this guy, like, the first album came out in 1969, and here we are, 2016. I feel pretty confident that this album would fall within my top 10 favorite Santana albums. It is that good. And that is why, as much work as Kanye and Fish put into their albums, Santana takes the cake, because this is just, it is a absolute masterpiece. Please press more copies of it, because I've been trying to buy this fucking shit for a year now. Let's press it, boys.
That's exciting. I want to give some honorable mentions that just missed my cut. One was Joanne by Lady Gaga, which is giving me a million reasons to let you go. That just missed the cut. White Album by Weezer.
Oh, yeah, that is a good one.
Collage EP by the Chainsmokers, which is just 4 songs, but has the Don't Let Me. Wait, I think so. No, I'm gonna have to look at it. But I know it has sorry. I'm trying to type it in. It has Closer, and then and then it has Don't Let Me Down as well. It's a 5-song EP. But yeah, that almost made my list. And then just Views by Drake, Blonde by Frank Ocean, which is a great album, and then Anti by Rihanna is another great one that has the work, let's quack, baby. And so, those were my honorable mentions. Club, do you have any honorable mentions, or you just want to run through our top 10 one more time?
So one of them you hit was the White Album by Weezer, and then the other one would be Nonagon Infinity by King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard. That band is an album producing machine. Somehow this was the only album they put out this in that year in 2016. For reference, this year 2022 they have released 5 albums. I believe they released 5 in 2021 as well. So yeah, Nonagon Affinity, it's a good one, but it did just miss the top 10. All right, recap.
All right, to recap, Spruce's top 10, sitting at number 1, The Life of Pablo by Kanye. And number 2, Untitled Unmastered, Kendrick Lamar. Number 3, Coloring Book by Chance the Rapper. Number 4, The Getaway, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Number 5, The Divine Feminine by Mac Miller. Number 6 will be Santana 4 by Santana. Number 7 is How to Be a Human Being by Glass Animals. Number 8 is Lemonade by Beyonce. Number 9 is Awaken My Love, Childish Gambino. And number 10 is Black Star by David Bowie.
All right. And so for Klep's top 10, at number 1 was Santana 4 by Santana. Number 2, Big Boat by Fish. Number 3, Life of Pablo by Kanye West. Number 4, what did I pick for number 4?
It's The Getaway. We had the same one.
That's right. The Getaway by Red Hot Chili Peppers. Number 5 was I Like When You Sleep, For You Are So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It by the 1975. Number 6. Why
Where's
am
your
I
list?
drawing a blank?
Where's your list?
I deleted it after I said it.
Oh my Lord.
I can't remember.
Ladies and gentlemen, Klep
Number
is
7 was Hardwired to Self-Destruct by Metallica.
Wait, Green Day was in there?
That's what it was. Number 6 was Revolution Radio by Green Day. Number 7 was Hardwired to Self-Destruct by Metallica.
You got to make a graphic for this episode. How are you going to remember this? Hey, if you want to hear 8, 9, or 10 from Team Klep, you're going to have to go back and listen to this once more.
Number 9 was Keep Me Singing by Van Morrison.
Holy shit, dude.
And this is how you know we keep it real on the Vinyl Stallions.
We keep it so real. But let us know who has the best top 10, and let us know if we should do another year, or if you should do another top 10 of like an artist, or like think of anything cool, and we'll fucking do it.
And let us know who has the better short-term memory skills. I think we just got a knockout punch on that one.
Oh, well, besides that, my name is Spruce.
I'm Klep.
This has been another episode of Vinyl Stallion.